But on with the afternoon program, we've got a program that is really, really on the ground, with coaches that are working on the ground, and people that are really making a difference on the ground. Our first speaker this afternoon is Martin Dahlin. Okay, Martin played hockey for Grasstops and Lidköping for over 20 years, but he's also coached in a lot of different teams over the last 2 decades. He has served as a junior national team coach at the under-17 and under-18 level, including a gold medal at the Junior World Championships in 2019. And Martin is going to speak a lot about how do we develop players. Okay, so please welcome Martin. Thank you very much, Martin. The floor is yours.
Thank you. Thank you. Yes, it's a big honor for me to be here at this fantastic event. I have learned so much from the people I've been talking to here, and I'm just one of you. I'm one regular coaches from the ice level. So if I wouldn't be here today, I would be on the ice back with my players in the academy. Yes, thanks for the introduction. I haven't played hockey on a professional level. I'm playing on lower levels in Sweden and also playing other sports. And after my career, I started to coach on a lower level. And that's why my coaching started. As you see, I coach youth hockey with my kids. I planned to coach on a pro career, but I decided to stay at home with my family and my 3 kids, and worked with youth hockey instead for many years in my club. And that was a fantastic experience, and I learned so much. After that, I started work at the Swedish Hockey Federation as a hockey consultant and coaching at the national level. And the last years I've been working for the academy in Frölunda and developing players on the U20 team. This is Frölunda's new logo. We changed it 2 weeks ago. That's a new one. We took away our old one. So it's brand new. I have a wife, and I'm very proud of her and my 3 kids. Very, very proud. And one of them, except for being here at the Symposium, I'm watching my son Rasmus play in the tournament here with Team Sweden, which is fantastic. It's fantastic to see your son play in the national team. So I'm very proud of that. I'm going to talk about my experiences through my years as a hockey coach. And I think it starts when the kids are really, really young. And I think our role as a coach in this stage of their life is not just to coach the kids on the practice today when we are at the ice. It's so important that we encourage them and influence them to every day be outside, be really active, try different sports, be with friends, play sports out on the street at their homes with their friends. Not just for the physical part that they need to do for all the coordination training, but also for working together and communicate with each other. And if they, let's say that a couple of kids comes together and start a street hockey team, and they play a game against their neighbor on the other street, things happen. They communicate with each other, they start growing leadership, And so many good things happen when they start doing things together and want to win games and practice together. So that's really important. So not just coaching on the practice, but influence the players to be active and test other sports so they can meet other coaches, meet other sports. So we can't be that ego that we just want them in our sport. We need to help them to try and develop in other sports too, and as kids. The golden age before puberty, I think, is extremely important. And the same thing here is that we support them and really make those years extremely fun. Not just working with the fundamentals, but also organize the practice for the kids, so they will love the sport and they will really enjoy and desire to come back to the practice every day. I think that is our most important thing of leadership in those ages, to really create an environment that the kids would love to come back every day for the practice. And that they also belong in the group, in the team, so they feel safe. And we create that environment so they're really safe in the group, and they want to come back every day, right? Another thing that I think we haven't spoken so much about is the planning. I think it's an important part of leading the team, is to see and plan and organize so the players will have the best chance of developing their skills. And that's our responsibility to put the players in those situations. This is really simple basics, but it's also the whole thing, I guess. That we help them to become as good as they can in their ability. For example, skating. The game is not slowing down, right? It's just getting faster. So we need to find ways to develop their skating, and it's going to be quicker, faster. We need to develop their passing skills, especially the receiving and the backhand passing is so extremely important that on the highest level you need to be extremely good at this. And also shooting, goal scoring, of course. One-on-one is what I think we need to practice on every day. We have to organize the practice so the kids and the players can practice one-on-one, offensive, defensive, every day. Because the game is 5-on-5, but it's always a one-on-one situation that creates numbers for the other team. So extremely important that we put them in these situations so they can practice and develop in this. And of course also the puck skills. It's extremely important that the players are comfortable with the puck. The puck can't be an obstacle for the players. Like we talked yesterday about the concussions, that the players need to be so good with the puck so the puck doesn't take away focus from the game. They need to be so good with the puck so they don't have to look at the puck. So also puck protection in future game is going to be more and more important. So all those types of skills we need to organize and let them practice a lot every day, and that's our responsibility. I think it's also extremely important that we design our practices so the players get the chance to compete as much as possible. So the practice is more intense and tougher than the practice, than the game. And that's our role, to design the practices so the environment will be as good as possible for the players. Because we want them to get used to the environment. So we need to create one-on-one battles, small area games. We have to count points. We have to challenge the players. And it also makes them work together as a group on the ice, connecting to each other, talk to each other. And the competition also makes the players more focused, and they will play with better accuracy in everything they do. And if we do it a lot, they learn to compete, and they will love to compete, because this is so important. Like, is there any coach in here that won't play that don't compete? Everybody wants players that compete. It's so important. And we can create this. And that's our responsibility. Important in the practice environment. I think today it's so much going on. It's so much on YouTube. You can find anything. You can find drills everywhere. And it's kind of, sometimes it feels like it's so much you can't pick the things that you want to do. But I just want to say that my experience is that keep it simple. Keep it simple. Do not complicate things. Go back to the basics and, for example, do the theme practice. Just pick one basic, one fundamental, and stick with it, and have it as a theme on the practice, and a lot of repetition. And repetition in that way that you can create the environment so the players won't get bored. You can do the same thing in different ways so the players won't get bored, right? So keep it simple and a lot of repetition in all ages, I would say, because even the pros need to work on their skills. It's also our responsibility that the players will practice with accuracy in their execution. So we don't let the players be sloppy, because when they're sloppy, they will get bad habits. So we have to be there. We have to challenge the players and learn. They have to learn how to practice with focus and be really accurate in everything they do, because if they're not, they won't get better. That's my experience. And of course, high expectations on the players, because we know that how good they can be. So why should we have low expectations? We should have high expectations. Then they will be better. Then we come to the habit part. For me, it's about creating habits for the players, help them create habits so they can take the step to the next level. Because a lot of times we have to work with take away all bad habits. So create good habits for the future, so the player can. It's easier for the player to go to the next level. With communication, I mean communication on the ice. It's something that if we don't talk about it a lot, they will lose the communication. So we have to really work with the communications, which will become a habit. Scanning the eyes, I mean, look around you when you play, so you see what's happening around you. Remind the players to really scan the eyes at all times. False information, another word is deception, is also a thing that in a young age you can work with this a lot in your practice, that you always try to help the players to, if you're going to pass the puck to the left, you fake that you pass puck to the right, to the left. So it's habits that we need to implement early, because when they're getting older, it's really hard to train those stuff. Pressure also, it should be an instinct, a habit that as soon as you lose the puck, quick pressure, get the puck back. Also in the next action, that everything that happens on the ice, be quick. It should be a habit that quick, go into the next action. Also attack, stay in front of the net is also a thing that fades away if we don't work with it. Also keep control of the puck. You should feel, the player should feel in their body that something wrong if they lose control of the puck. That's when it's a habit. Also from an early age, it's important to create those habits just to help the players for the future, so they have the right habits when they go to the next level. And this is easy things. Be on time. I used to work as a hockey consultant, and I went to different clubs each and every night and had coaches ice practice in different rinks every night, and it was so clear to me that different groups had different habits in listening. Some groups, all the players were sitting down, listening to the instructions and doing the right thing immediately. At the other place, there were kids everywhere, only a couple of them were listening. So this is a very important habit to learn the player, because when they come to the U20 level, if they're not used to listen, they're not going to develop. So it's very important that we help the players from an early age to create those habits. Ask questions, of course, be accurate with details, extremely important. And communicate with teammates. And this is things that this is our responsibility. We can't say that when the players are 15 years old that he didn't learn that, or he's like this, he's like that. It's up to us to help the players to create those habits. Because it's a lot more, it's easier to act on a habit than to take decisions. Hockey is habits. It's so quick out there, and it's not going to slow down. So you have to have the right habits. That's my experience. So you feel in your body what you're doing. You don't have to take decisions and think out on the ice. Then it's too slow. You have to always react on your habits. In Frölunda, in the academy, from U18 to U20, we're working with an individual development plan. And we try to work with, not trying, we're working with development, individual in the technical, the individual tactics, the physical, and also character. We do the game analysis together with the player. We don't have to do it. The player can do it at home. I can do it at home, and we will sit down together. But we do it together, and it will be a discussion that we sit down together and we look at the player's strength. We look at the player's areas where they need to develop. And it's on the ice, it's off the ice, it's how they communicate with other players, and in all parts of the game. And we put down not too many things, because too many things it will be just a mess. So put a couple of things that we will work on a couple of weeks, and then we evaluate together. And if we want to go with this further, we do that. If not, we just put a new goal and get to work. So it's a discussion that we communicate together what the player, and here's important that we have to listen to the player. What's his picture and what is my picture? Because we can't just tell the player what to do, because then we don't find the right path. We need to have the discussion together, and we need to find the player's picture of who the player is and what his strength and why he's doing things, so we can really help them, more of supporting them to become the players they want to be. And that's what we're doing together. Communication, if it's one thing I want to be better at as a hockey coach, that's communication, because I find that's everything. And we've been talking so much about trust those 2 days, and for me that's the biggest thing. And it's hard. It's not easy to work with this, but it's also very fun. We need to get to know the person. We have to build that trust. And Lasse yesterday said a thing that I will bring home from here is that, of course, trust is a feeling. How do you get that feeling? We have to build that relationship so the player has that feeling. And when the player has that feeling, we have to take care of it, because it's easy for the player to lose that feeling. If we put the player in a bad situation in front of the other players, if I yell at a player, if I bark at a player, the whole team will see this, and the player will lose the trust. So it's the respect of the players is so extremely important. And we really need to get to know the person, and what the player we call it that change pictures, that I need to see the player's picture from his perspective, and the player needs to see my perspective, how I see it. And the only way to do this is to listen and to try to understand why the player is doing what he's doing. And then we need to talk every day. This is not easy. We have 40 players in the academy, but constant trying to talk to players in some way, because sometimes it's been 2-3 weeks and you haven't talked to a player. The only thing you have said to the player is that he's not back checking or he's not blocking a shot. So you need to have this constant communication every day. Extremely important. The communication also need to be clear. All players have their own experiences. So when I say something in here, you all hear different things. So we never can be too clear. I send out a text every week with the schedule, and for me it's so clear, but I always get questions. What about this? What about that? And you can never be too clear, because everybody's have their own thoughts about things. So it's so important to be really clear in everything, in meetings, in all kinds of communication. Over clear is important. And feedback, I think, should be very simple and quick, fast. Because my experience is that when we have those feedback meetings, that we want to have a meeting with a player, me and a player, or me and a coach, another assistant coach, together in a room with a player, is really uncomfortable. Because players get tense and they just want to give me the right answers. So it's much better for me to just take the players and talk with them on the fly. At the rink, on their way to school, just, hey, can we take a minute? And they don't have to prepare for the meeting that they're waiting for to get the feedback. Just more talking. And take this on the fly, on the ice, in the locker room, just quick, short feedback. That won't be it won't be that serious. It's more like that the information is there anyway, so it's really important. That's what I call the shoulder-to-shoulder meetings. That is not you sit here, I sit there, and we talk. More like we're talking in the locker room or wherever we are. It's more comfortable for the player, and we don't put them in an uncomfortable situation. And then we have the overcoaching. The worst thing is when the players think on the ice. When they think, I wonder what the coach wants me to do in this situation. Then it's really bad. The players really need to trust their instinct. We have to put them in a mood, in a situation that they know that we trust them and we trust their instinct. Because if they have to think all the time on the ice what they're supposed to do because they get the coach satisfied, that's not good. That's definitely not good for their development. And it's a lot of trust in this, but we have to let the players trust their instinct, and it's a work. It's a work that we have to put in with all the communication and changing the pictures, so we know what we want to see out there. And of course, work on the good things. When they get hard times and when a player plays bad, try to focus on the good things. There's always good things going on. Focus on the good things and repeat it. So we don't get stuck in the bad stuff, because now it's going to go deeper and the players have to crawl up, and it's so much better to forget next practice, next day, and bring the best things out of the last game or what is. So communication is extremely important for me in my work. The communication is a tool to build the player's confidence. For me, this is huge. It doesn't matter how fast the players can skate or how they can shoot or whatever they can do on the ice, because if they don't have the confidence, it doesn't matter. This is everything. I want the players to play without fear. And fear for what? Yeah, it could be fear for going to the bench and have a disappointed coach, or having disappointed parents, or whatever. We want the players to just play the game and play on their strength, and don't be scared to fail. And the role of a coach here is so important, that we don't put players in uncomfortable situations when they do mistakes. But this is also with the trust that we have to communicate with the players so they understand that they have a big responsibility in this. We let them play, we let them do mistakes. That is the mistakes that we learn. it's a lot of trust in this. So we let the players play and do mistakes. And if we do that, they will develop. But they need to feel that we trust them and that we have their back. So we need to work on the player's strength, like pick up the strength and work with it, and really make the players feel that they develop on their skills, the best part of the game, and really encourage the players to take initiative and don't be passive and scared to fail or scared to lose. We want the players to play on their strength and be the best they can be, and that's my job, to make the players as good as they can be. And if the players can't trust their instinct, they're thinking too much on the ice. If I don't believe in my player, who's going to believe in the player? He must feel that as a coach, I really believe that he's going to be a really good player. And that can be hard sometimes, because if you have it, everybody here has a team at home, most of you, and you don't like all your players. Maybe you like 10, 5, 18, 19, and there are always 1 or 2 or 3 players that I don't like him. But that's not our job to tell that the players are bad. Our job is to make the players better, and that's why I have the glasses there, because in those cases, when there's players that, this player is not that good, I don't like him, we have to change what we see. We have to change glasses and find the good things in the player and focus on that, because that's our job. That's our job as a coach, to develop each and every player. It's so easy to say, oh, he's bad, he's a bad passer, or he has a bad skating. That's easy, but we have to develop it. The players feel that we don't like them. So we have to change. We have to change how we think about the player. Unless we do that, he won't develop as good as he can be. That's our responsibility. So the mindset I have is, when I come to the rink every day, is that every player in my group is going to grow this day in some way, and especially his self-confidence. I don't want the player to lose their confidence. Extremely important. And to do this, it's communication, of course. That's the most important tool. And it can be really tough some days, because we have the practice in the morning before school at 7. And then we have a practice in the afternoon after school. And when a player comes to the rink, I mean, I have to be a good coach. I can't be grumpy, I can't be tired or something like that. So when the player comes in 7 in the morning, I have to be in my best shape. I have to be, hello boys, how's it going? Now let's go. And inspire the players, influence them. And after that, I go home and get sleep. Before they come back after school, I need to be there again. And I have to be full of energy. I have to love hockey every day. So the players, I have to be a role model. And to do that, I need to be fresh. I need to be energized. Because it takes a lot of energy of a coach to give so much communication and be a role model and communicate with the players. It drains you, so that you have to take care of the body and energize yourself, so you can be your best me every time you stand in front of the team. If you're not, the play is not getting better. like I said before, skating, passing, shooting, extremely important in ice hockey, of course. But my experience is that without the right character, it's going to be hard to reach the top. So building the player's character is extremely important for us as coaches, and this we can do from an early age to really work with the players to be honest and help each other, support each other, take responsibility, spread energy, believe that anything is impossible, forget mistakes, always try to, in your group, that the players try to be kind to each other, support each other, and really be a good person. Because if the players talk about their backs, they whine and complain and blame each other, it's going to be hard for them to reach the top. So this is more important than skating and shooting. And the best thing here to teach this is to be a role model, of course. That we, as coaches, live after those values every day. Then the players will follow. And we have to teach them. The young kids, they do things wrong and they're selfish sometimes and they happen things every day. So we have to try to help them to find the right path and be a better person each and every day. It's going to be tough to play pro hockey if you don't have the right character. So this is something that I put a lot of energy in and a lot of time. So I think this is extremely important. Yes, thank you.
Thank you so much, Martin. As a practicing coach working with young people, I've taken so much away from that. I'm gonna get us started with a quick question. You talked about keeping it simple, the importance of keeping it simple. Where do we normally go wrong? What do we do to complicate things?
Yeah, I think that in the hockey world we try to do too much. We try too much different things instead of. There's so much going on now with the skills training and everything, and in my experience is that it's not that complicated, but we make it more complicated than it is. Yeah.
Yeah. And so what would be your? Do we make it complicated in training or in games all the time?
Training.
Yeah. Yeah. Great. I wonder, you guys must be burning with questions. Come on, what do you want to know? Questions from Martin. There we go. We got one there and then one here. So.
Thank you very much. It was a really good speech, and I took a lot of it. My question would be: you said to focus on positive things and on the strength of the player. Do you ignore like the mistakes, or like you let the players to like themselves figure it out? Their weaknesses, I mean, because I coach goalies, and every time I see mistakes, I try to correct it, you know, and instead of focus on their strength, maybe.
Yeah, of course, I correct mistakes, but most of the time the players know the mistakes, and we don't have to be there every time. So the focus will be on the positives, but of course we have to be there and help them with the things that they need to develop also, the negatives, of course. But focus on the positive. We can't just let it go with the mistakes, but we don't have to be that hard on the mistakes. And it's a part of the development to do mistakes. It's a part of the development to learn from the errors and do the mistakes. I mean, through the pandemic, it was we really missed the games, right? Because so much learning in the games. You need to fall behind. You need to do the mistakes to learn through the games. It's so important to let the players do wrong, so they can learn, of course.
Absolutely. Second question here. Thank you.
Hi, Marko Viitanen from Vierumäki Sport Institute of Finland. You mentioned about the games. How you handle games and learn from the games with your players, the real games, competitive games?
Yeah. Every game, I mean, on the bench, we always try to, we feedback a lot on the games. But after games, we watch the video, of course. We watch the video and we try to, the day after the game, we take all the good stuff and we look at the good stuff together with the players. So we don't focus that much on the bad things. We try to see the good habits, see the good things that are happening in the game, and try to build the confidence and the habits that way. So we want to see the good things more.
Thank you. We've got one question right there. Well, let's stay here first, and then we go back to you. We've got time. Thank you.
Okay. Hello, I'm Evgeny from Romania. I want to ask you what you do. What about you talking about with player? Example, one of the best players in the team, but they had stuck during the season and don't do the things that usually they do. What is your solution? How we can help them?
Yeah, it's talking. It's always like that when things happens, when bad things happens in a team or with a player, it's always like that. We should have talked with them, of course. So it's always communication. So when they get stuck and things don't go their way, we can't just look at them and wait and hope that it will turn around, because we need to support them. We need to try to find solutions and help them, because it's mentally. It's something have happened that make them lose their confidence. So it's always sometimes it can be easy. It's like easy. A couple of questions. What's happening? If you're doing this, try this. Do you remember when you played good? What did you do? Yeah, I did like this. Okay, try that. And one day it can change. So without the communication, it's so hard to change those negative loops. So we need to support them. I have to talk to them, because standing and watching, nothing gonna happen. Yeah.
Thank you. Next question there. Thank you.
Yeah, hi, I'm Alan from Switzerland, and you mentioned overcoaching, and I wanted to ask, how do you find the line in, like, every player is a little bit different, and some may think a lot more if you give them instructions, and some play more natural. How do you find that line in the players?
Yeah, that's why we have to get to know the players, so we find how they work, how they think. So at first, get to know the player, get to know the person, what's his how he works, and after that, maybe you get a feeling. It's if you have a new player, it's going to take time. It's going to take time to see how the player works, but everybody is different. But it's so important that we don't force the players to do the things that they think that we want to do, because we want them to play their best game, and everybody have different instincts, and we just want to let the instincts lose, so they can play their game without fear. That's when the really good things happening. Because skating around thinking, what is the coaches wants me to do here? That's not developing anybody. So it's individual. Yeah, we have to connect with the player, each and every player.
Okay, we've got Evgeny here again, and then we come into you after, yeah?
Yeah, one more short. You mentioned about the games. It's the best experience, like for players and for coaches too. Talking about overcoaching, do you input or talk about the tactics a lot before the game, or what do you try to explain in the game? Because I had experience when it, like talk a lot of tactics and do this, but the game was the worst game and when you don't say nothing, almost in the game are better.
Yeah, I have the same experience. Less instructions before the games. I mean, we have to implement the habits and implement the way of playing during the week, during the practices, and game day is more, we want fresh brains and less structure, less information before the game, so the players can just play the game. They know in their back what they're going to do, but this is hard because everybody in here, and me too, we want so bad. We want to win so bad for the players because we want them to win. We want to help them. So that's why we sometimes coach too much, just because we want the players. So we want them to win, and we want them to be happy. So sometimes, and also we have a feeling sometimes that maybe some other coaches in the club or some president or something wants us to do in a certain way, but and when we coach too much, it's not good for the players every time. No.
If I may say something there before we go to you, try something that I've been trying the last couple of years and it's worked really well pre-game. I actually get them to do the team talk because basketball 12 players. You six guys have a quick chat about what we want to achieve today defensively. You six talk about what we want to do today offensively, and then tell each other. And they will listen to each other much more than they listen to me. And it makes them think themselves. And yeah, and sometimes they might say things that are a bit weird, or we could even say wrong, but it doesn't matter because they own it, and it's just such a great handing that power over to the players is a really good thing because they're tired of listening to your voice. They hear your voice all the time. Great, thank you. Over to you.
My name is Daugardas Gricius. Like I said, Lithuanian, half Canadian, and quarter Finnish. But thanks, Martin, for the great presentation. I have a question because you mentioned a few times speed practices. I mean, you're putting in the game situations. I know it's a lot of international coaches here. They're going to come back. All right, guys, we're going to go 100% speed, which is self-confidence for some players. It's turning down a lot. I know that some few situations that we put extra skating, and you see we had yesterday pretty good presentation. Turn down a bit speed, the volume. When do you felt, how many times during the season you need to turn down volume, especially in the speed, to build up?
One more time, I didn't hear this.
How many times during the season while you've been working that you felt that it's time to turn down the volume to build up the self-confidence for the players?
Yeah, of course it depends on the situation, but we always try to have high speed, but it's so important today when the game is a high speed. It's so important to change speed because we can't go max speed all the time. It don't work out well. So the change of speed is I think is the next level, but I think the combination when we have the team practice and practice with the team stuff, it has to be game-like situations in full speed, but of course in this environment, it's important to change speed, of course. But I don't know if I never thought of that to build confidence with taking down the speed. But yeah, maybe that's good.
Great. Any final questions? One over there, please.
Oh, hi, I'm Martin. I'm Lennart from Finland, and I'm coaching young players in Helsinki. And I want to ask a little bit more about boosting especially young players' confidence. We all know they might have their insecurities, or they might have even a pretty one-dimensional picture of them as a player. So my question maybe is that you were talking about getting the energy and taking care of yourself and being a good role model, but how do you approach the individual practice? What kind of maybe tools you have giving feedback or communicating that you have like in your everyday life?
I never reflect on that. It's I mean, we try to touch the players as much as possible during the days and during the ice sessions, and we try to influence the player to come to us, because it's so hard we have so many players, not more than you have in your team, but everybody coach has a lot of players, so we have to influence the player to come to us and ask questions too, and we have a dialogue all the time. But the players, we need to see them and we need to talk to them, and they need to feel that they are important for us, all the players. And in the youth levels, it's so different why they play hockey. Some players, when they're 13 years old, they have decided they want to play in NHL, and some players are playing because their parents want them to play. So it's kind of, that's hard, but we have a huge impact on the players when they arrive to the hockey rink and also when they're home. So we have to be positive to them, and they have to feel valued, even if the players that are not that skilled and not that good, they have to feel safe, and they have a value when they come to the rink, and they also have to feel that all the players have the respect for everybody in the locker room. So that's our responsibility as coaches, to create that environment so the players have that feeling that they're safe and that they belong in the locker room. It's so important, and it's so easy as a coach to destroy this. So we have to work on this all the time, and it's like, it's a role model. We have to respect the players in all ages, so they respect us.
It's incredible how long it may take to build that sense of confidence and trust and respect, and how quickly you can lose it in a few seconds by saying the wrong thing or doing the wrong thing. Look, thank you so much for all your questions, and Martin, thank you so much for a presentation full of really important messages for coaches working with young ice hockey players. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you.